Alrighty. So, hello everybody. It is Sunday, and I'm off to work. Welcome back to Scottish Fitness. Everybody else probably watching the Super Bowl game. We're doing other fun activities. And I was going to, making a video on kind of response to some questions that I've been getting from my subscribers, a lot of them on Instagram. They're saying, how did you stay at the level of strength that you have, being 62 years old? And I started thinking a little bit about it. And this is just my process of how I got there. This is not any judgment on anybody else. This is just how I got to the level I was at, some of the things I had to work through and overcome to make this. I know there are people that have issues and physical injuries and things like that, so it's like I said, there's not a critique on anybody, but this is just how I managed to get to this level. So obviously it took exercise, and it took hard work and nutrition, and it took commitment. And I think what happens, because it happened to me and almost happened a few other times, is we get to a point that we stop lifting for whatever reason. We'll make the reasons and they'll sound good to us. So I did it once when I was in my late 30s. I took a back injury, moving potting soil. It messed me up for a good 8 weeks. I started lifting again. I re-injured it, not as bad, but I just stopped lifting. I had a third child arrived. I had a job, I worked lots of hours. I had excuse 1A, excuse 2B, excuse 3C. And I stopped lifting for about 3 years. And the whole time, my wife's like, you look fine. Don't worry about it, you look fine. And it wasn't until I was 39, I took a good look at myself in the mirror, and I was not happy with the person that was looking back at me. So I took full blame for it, because that's who I is. The blame was me. I had stopped lifting, I had stopped eating correct, I stopped doing a lot of things that were healthy. So I started lifting again. And where before I was lifting, where I was doing a lot of high reps, lots of different exercises, and probably more than what a bodybuilder would do, which is difficult lifting, I started doing heavier lifting. I wanted to get stronger. That was the goal I had. I'm going to get stronger. And I did. I hit 315 for the first time in my life when I was 40. And then I got challenged by a guy in the gym, Aaron. Like, well, why don't you bench 405? And I say, man, I'm 6'4". I got this huge wingspan, That's somebody for somebody who's shorter. And then I stopped. I said, wow, I'm doing it again. I'm making reasons not to accomplish something. I was doing it. So I said, I'm going to go after it. I think at the time I was doing maybe 335, 340. So, as I always say, set easy to reach goals, give yourself more enough time to do it. So I set the goal of 405 for 2 years. Not like saying, I'm going to get it in 90 days. You're not. Just ain't going to happen. Even with steroids, it ain't going to happen. You're going to tear yourself up. So, and I accomplished that. 2 years later, I was benching 405. So that was at 44, 45 years old. And my goal then was to be able to bench 405 or more for as long as I could. I didn't really at the time thinking I was going to be doing it at 62 years old, but that was my goal. So I kept getting a little stronger every year. I did take a injury during a meet. They dropped the weight on me. I thought they had it. They lost it. Kind of did some micro fractures into my chest. I healed, came back a year later, stronger. So every year I got about 5 pounds stronger, 5 pounds stronger. I think just right when I was turning 60, I was at my best in shape for strength. I had a 480 bench in the gym, pretty clean. All right, and I was weighing probably about 250 at the time. And I was feeling really good. I had an injury take me, I had COVID hit, I had just had so many issues for the next year and a half that I kept struggling to get back into the high fours. I'd get 405, I'd get 410, I'd get 425, and then I start going backwards again. And then you start having that conversation with yourself. You know, at the time I was 61 years old, I was 62 years old, I'll be 63 next month. You know, and I had a lot of people telling me, well, you know, you're probably getting that age, you need to stop lifting heavy, and probably just do more reps. And, I mean, they weren't saying it to be mean. I think they really felt this was good advice, and it may be good advice for a lot of people. I see that a lot out there, you know. If you're over 50, stop lifting heavy. Well, my opinion is, once you stop lifting heavy, and that's a perceived term, I think you're no longer going to get stronger. Now, doing decent weights for sets and cardio and, you know, getting on the treadmill and the Stairmaster are all good things. But if you want to stay strong, you got to keep at it. So I kept at it. I took the ups and downs. When I started this last one, I was back to where I was barely doing a 350 bench. And a lot of people would quit. Natural to quit on that. I didn't quit. So I put up 405 last Monday. Or 425. I did a double rep at 405. I really feel the strength coming back. I feel the size coming back. I feel like I was when I was 59, 60 years old before I started having the old issues. So when people ask, well, how did you maintain it? That's how I maintained it. I didn't give up. I sat there and I made adjustments. I kept going at it. If you look at some of my older videos where I was doing a series on vitamins, when I was just recovering from the long-term effects of COVID, not the immediate ones, I was over 5 days. You can see that I was not as healthy as I am now. I was not as strong. I wasn't as healthy. My respiratory system wasn't as healthy. My strength wasn't there. My size wasn't there. And that can negatively affect you if you allow it to do so. So I didn't allow it. I fought it. Kept having those conversations. I've watched a few others have the same conversation with themselves and become successful. You know, one of the channels I watched, Body Beatdown, Michael, you know, he was struggling with trying to get to a certain poundage on deadlifts. And he wasn't making any progress. And he was thinking, well, maybe, you know, it's time to stop going heavy. And I just kind of sent him messages. I wouldn't stop. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, he's fighting a lot of things, back problems, all that stuff. But what he did is he changed his training, started doing elevated deadlifts, and you know, all of a sudden, like 3 months later, there's the 500-pound deadlift. And he did it again, make sure it wasn't a mistake. That's impressive. So he stuck with it. That is how you stay in shape. That's how you maintain that level for as long as you can. As you just, the conversations you have with yourselves are conversations to keep going. Because once you stop doing something, it is difficult to start it back up. So my advice is, if you're healthy, if your joints are working, get back into training, slow and steady. You know, don't go find a trainer and then do a 2-hour session. Now, I know there's people that disagree with me on that, and there are people that are, you know, have a lot of experience in the fitness industry. You know, so, oh, you're just, you know, delaying the pain over time. No, you're spreading the pain over time. I mean, because if you sit there and overdo it to the point where you can barely move, you're not going back to the gym. Let's just be honest. Only 1% will go back to the gym. But if you start slow and you give your chance for your muscles and your ligaments and your tendons to recover, for you to understand that soreness is an enjoyable feeling, I think you're much more likely to continue. And then understand, you're always going to have setbacks. You're not going to be Superman every day you go into the gym. Some days you're just going to be Clark. But even a poor workout is still a workout. Even if you didn't hit your goals, you still lifted. And there are going to be those plateaus. And those plateaus can last years. They really can. Nothing wrong with that. You still got to keep going at it. So, secret to my success, I don't stop. Keep going at it. Now, do I work out with the intensity I used to when I was in my 30s? No, I used to work out 3 hours a day. I don't have that in me at this time, but I get an hour in. And I pretty much do the basics. You know, Steve Shaw, Massive Iron, you know, he kind of had a video out yesterday where he was just saying, listen, you don't need all these fancy routines. You don't need all these fancy programs. Basically, you just need to go in there and lift and get stronger. Not saying that those programs out there don't work. There's some good programs out there if you stick with it. But make sure that program is designed for what your goals are. You know, if you get a trainer, make sure the trainer is listening to you to what your goals are, not what the trainer's goals are. And you'll find yourself far more successful. So, I've already covered that. I've been getting that asked a lot. The reason I'm still strong is, number one, I've been fortunate not to get any bad injuries. I don't have any older gentleman diseases. Blood pressure, I'm fine. Blood sugar, I'm fine. All my muscles and joints are working within their specific standard procedures, some even above it. I've been lucky that way. Also, I always heal. So, yes. But the thing of it is, I'm always going at it. The nutrition's got to be there. I take the vitamins, I take the minerals, I take the natural supplements. I stay away from any of the gear. Now, I don't care if you take gear or not. You're an adult. Do whatever works for you. I'm not one of those people going, oh, you're terrible, you're on that. That's not me. It's just not for me. I read the side effects, and I just figured I'd rather not do that. I don't need to have a six-pack. You know, I don't need to have well-defined muscles. I'm married for over 31 years. My kids are grown. I don't have to be that guy. What I want to be is I want to be the guy that's really strong, but looks like a normal big guy to everybody else. You know, I kind of like that look. But whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, you have to be consistent. You have to be on it all the time. And you just don't give up. And then you'll be successful. One of the best foods I eat, I think that has helped my strength, is the incredible edible egg. I eat a lot of eggs, and my strength is coming up. I'm eating more eggs than I usually do, and I'm getting stronger. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody, have a wonderful day. Root for your team. Have fun. Rest, nutrition, proper exercise.